Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. Your ghost host with the most, Jacob Wile here.
And Blue Dragon 5, here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs to recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lanterns, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection. Phineas and Ferb, Night of the Living Pharmacists. Even laughter, it's very cleansing.
Daddy.
All right, so how are you doing this fine evening, Dragon?
Spooky. I'm feeling relatively spooky. Kind of zombified, but kind of wrapped up in a kind of a pharmacist coat. But you get the idea.
Yeah, I do. I get the idea, yep. You can say, I know what we're going to do today.
Yes.
It's a running gag.
Yeah, of course. I'm aware of that, but isn't it like a little different than that? Or is it like
I know what we're going to do tonight was specifically mentioned in this episode.
Okay.
But yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're talking Phineas and Ferb. Yeah, you felt rather strongly about this one. I can see why. It was pretty good.
Like, yeah, you can definitely see why. I mean, I know some people on here didn't want to talk about it because they weren't familiar with it, but
Mm-hmm.
but you can probably see why I advocated so strongly for this because I know we previously discussed the Werecow episode. I think it was called. I think it was That's the Spear we talked about previously, and I remember you were just kind of okay on that one.
I mean, that's the thing, Jacob. I enjoy what I've seen of Phineas and Ferb. I mean, I am kind of going into kind of fresh territory with the show. But every time I kind of jumped into it, like, okay, I can see it. And I loving the Doofenshmirtz of it all. So I'm kind of into Phineas and Ferb. The other stuff feels usually. I mean, for me, Phineas and Ferb, honestly, many a time feels like I'm loving the Doofenshmirtz and Perry the Platypus side of it all because that's where you get all the hilarious mundanity. And the flip side, I'm seeing like okay, then we have kind of our main plot that basically is like, okay, here's just some cool slice of life stuff with kind of the Pavenmeyer style, which is nice and I think nicely written enough, but just not. I think in these it seems to be in these later seasons like this because it's like season 4, I think.
Yep.
There's a little more crossover at play, which I think the crossover of the episodes I have seen, and of course at this point, like I saw I did not watch the show from start to finish, mind you, but I did see like one of the movies that they put out.
Across the second dimension.
Yeah, the one with Candace, right?
Well, they both have Candace in them.
Oh,
Are you talking about the Disney Channel one or the Disney Plus one?
Disney Plus one.
Then that's Candace Against the Universe.
That's what I was thinking of. Yes, so Candace against I've seen that, which again, obviously, had some kind of crossover at play there.
And you also do remember for you guys doing the animation vacation, you talked about the animated DComs, and that was one of them. That's
right.
And Across the Second Dimension was one of those.
Right. But yeah, so let's say so in general, it was. Again, I liked what I've seen. I like it, especially when they kind of cross over in some way, shape, or form like this. So I mean, it was it was good. I loved all the references to kind of our various kind of iconic horror films or kind of like creepy things. So
but nice. Before we continue, we do have a comment from Sonia Pantoja or
Pantoja. Hey.
Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name.
Pantoja.
Hey guys, it's me. So Sonia Priscilla Pantoja. And I'm really excited for Halloween this year, and I'm dressing up as Cinderella from Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cinderella. Pumpkin emoji.
Huh. Cool.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were saying,
Dragon. No, I wasn't really adding much to it beyond that. Just yeah.
I mean, as you know, for me, it's like I guess I'll give my brief history with the show itself. And I might have done it before on the show. Like, some of you guys probably already know this. Like, this is the show that basically got me back into animation and Disney and animation in general. It's like I wasn't really. I kind of fell out of it for a while, and
it was kind of your baptism post the Disney afternoon, if you will.
Technically, yes. And if you remember, for a while up until like in the early 2000s, like after a certain point, like besides Kim Possible, Disney's television animation output wasn't that strong in a lot of aspects.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, sure, you had like the stuff that was like great, but that was great, like Dave the Barbarian, but that didn't last very long. And then you had other stuff that was just okay and just flew under the radar.
I don't think we're singing the praises of Brandy and Mr. Whiskers.
I mean, I enjoyed that show, but I'm not going to call it like fantastic or anything.
Right.
But and like I said, and even like, and I'll admit, even upon watching like a sneak preview of this, I was like, I didn't really think much of it at first. And then I decided to give it a shot, and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. And then, ironically enough, it was like the first Halloween episode they did one good scare out of do it was what hooked me on the show entirely.
I have one question about the Halloween episodes of Phineas and Ferb, Jacob.
Yeah.
So, am I correct in assuming that at least some of these are actually set on Halloween, right?
Well, there are a few that take place on Halloween. Well, one that explicitly takes place on Halloween is the one we reviewed already with the Spirit. And other ones just have like Halloween motifs on them. Like specifically, the one I mentioned, One Good Scare Ought to Do It. These episodes obviously aired in October, but that's more about them building a haunted house to cure Isabella's hiccups.
Well, here's my question, though, Jacob. If I understand it correctly, isn't the sell of Phineas and Ferb that everything takes place like during the summer, like the whole series is like this is during like one summer? Is that right?
Basically, yeah.
How can there be Halloween if it's during the summer?
Well, there are episodes that take place outside of it because there are Christmas episodes. There are
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, how does that work if the whole show's
like,
like are these like exceptions? Are these set like after the end of the series? Then, like, how does that
work?
Well,
technically, yes, they're supposedly chronologically after the end of the series.
Okay, there you go. That's what I wanted to verify. Okay.
Either that or they took place before the series began.
Sure, so the point is before or after the main crux of the show, which takes place exclusively during the summer. How many episodes are there total of? Is it like
individual segments? There's over 200 of them.
Okay, there's over wait a minute, how many days?
Like if you're talking about half hours, there's 4 seasons with about 20, so about over 100 episodes. But individual segments, there's about 200 of them.
Wait, so how many episodes?
I don't remember. I don't know the exact number specifically, but if you're talking about segments, at least over 200, I believe.
Well, I ask only because I'm trying to figure like how many days of summer there are, which I probably
it doesn't match up. I mean, it says it's 104 days, but in the intro, but it doesn't really match.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, the whole 104 days thing. So I was wondering if that kind of tracked at the end, but okay.
People take the caveat maybe like it's a cartoon, so it doesn't really matter, or that some episodes take place on the same days.
That's fair.
But yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, sure.
But as I was saying, like the One Good Scare that doesn't take place in Halloween, but it's like has a haunted house motif because they're trying to cure Isabella's hiccups.
Right.
It's like there is an episode where like its motif is based on Halloween. Like there's an episode like produced later on, I think it was actually before this, called Terrifying Tri-State Trilogy of Terror. And in that one, it's like basically this guy who's trying to sell horror stories, and one of the lines is like, "Wow, that's a very Halloween thing to happen during summer." So it doesn't actually. Those individual stories don't take place on Halloween, but they're obviously Halloween motifed and all that.
Of course.
And okay, so a little background on this particular episode is that the funny thing is, for the longest time, Dan Poppmeyer and Swampy Marsh, the creators of the show, they actually did want to do a zombie story for quite a while, but could never find the right way to do so. Because obviously this show really doesn't lead to that, and they kind of outlawed magic in any basically outlawed magic of any form being in the show for any of the explanations and stuff like that. But so it wasn't until storyboard writer Joshua Pruitt came up with the basic idea of the electrically transmitted Doofenshmirtz cloning, and then it evolved from there. Joshua Pruitt himself was usually a storyboard artist for this season, and usually how the show worked was that they had staff writers who contributed stories, but then the storyboard writers would obviously storyboard and write the episode. And Pruitt was a writer, but then he was a storyboard artist, but he contributed the story for the episode.
Okay.
And so he basically came up with the basic idea, and obviously it became a full hour-long special. which, as you noticed, was for some reason when put onto Disney Plus, split into two parts, like with every other special they did.
So this thing counts as a special, and that's why it's like extended, like kind of like a two-parter. Like it seems like they did a lot of two-parters in the fourth season.
Basically, yeah, they did quite a few hour-long specials in the final season.
Yeah.
A lot of them, they're all pretty good actually, but and of course during the third season was during the movie. And of course, they did hour-long specials during those two. They did hour-long specials during the second and third seasons, but a lot of them were produced in the final season, including the season finale, including the series finale, which was another hour-long special.
All right. Anything else?
I mean, do you think of is there anything else you can think of for the background, or do we need to get up front?
I mean, I don't believe so. I think we kind of covered the inception of the idea and all that. I think we're good to go.
All right.
All right, folks. This is a two-parter. We're gonna basically kind of go over the. We're gonna go through things kind of a linear fashion, like kind of summarize things just a bit because there's only so many times you can break down all the hilarious jokes because they are jam-packed to the rafters in Phineas and Ferb. But we're gonna do our darndest to get all the good stuff in there. So.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons many people love this show. Is like the comedy.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, part one. We're gonna start with part one.
I mean, well, technically, as you said, it's technically all one episode.
Oh right, yeah. So sorry, folks. Let me tell you this. Here's one bit of background we should mention. It's so stupid. Disney Plus, they've uploaded they put the episodes on Disney Plus and they kind of section them off in weird ways. Where Jacob, so correct me wrong. When they were aired, they were aired as an hour, correct?
Yes, they're technically hour-long specials.
I mean, now you have like all the keys of the kingdom on Disney Plus. We have hour-long things all over the place. You can't make that an hour. You got to break it up into like.
Well, the funny thing is, like as you probably noticed when you were finding this episode, they also had the Marvel and Star Wars episode split up too, right?
Yes.
But the funny thing is, they also uploaded Star Wars and Marvel as separate standalones.
I don't get it.
I'm going to try and look it up right now. But from what I understand, they uploaded the Marvel and Star Wars episodes separately, probably to categorize those in those particular areas.
Yeah, Disney Plus has been notorious for how they've really botched the order on how they've kind of uploaded a lot of the series that they have on there. Like Recess is a nightmare if you ever try to binge it. Like, wait a minute, this episode should be here and that should be there, and why are there two different This is done on This is when they started drawing directly on the computer, and this is cell animated. How does this go together? It's crazy.
I mean, my guess for the reasons why they did Marvel and Star Wars separately was to categorize those within the Marvel and Star Wars stuff themselves.
Well, sure. At least there's somewhat of like a disconnected logic. We don't have time to talk about Disney Plus's uploading practices. We have to talk about the episode.
And for a while, the whole production order of the show was messed up too until they got that corrected.
Yeah, the perils of animation, kids. So,
but technically, at least the show is in chronological order.
Thank goodness. So. We have this. We open on this kind of this CG kind of environment.
We should probably talk about like the Saul Bass inspired opening first.
Oh yes, Saul Bass for the kids out there behind Psycho, right? The opening of.
And that's one of the. I think that's one of the things he did. I think
that's one of the most famous things I've heard Saul Bass's name thrown around for. He did the whole opening titles for Psycho.
I think he did a couple Hitchcock movies, but Psycho. I thought it was like either Psycho or Vertigo.
Probably both, honestly, but definitely Psycho.
But yeah, but basically his work for Alfred Hitchcock is what he's best known for.
So of course, capturing the suspenseful nature and just kind of a little bit of that, you got to get Saul Bass in on kind of doing somewhat of a Saul Bass send up in your opening.
Yes, and you can obviously the score is probably inspired by Bernard Herrmann.
Yeah.
So I was like, so already in the beginning they're channeling the horror roots.
Yeah. All right, so
and keep in mind this particular episode, I wouldn't say it's exactly outright terrifying. I mean, but compared to the show, it definitely is pretty creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call it probably scary by any means, but definitely compared to the rest of the show. And obviously,
it's got atmosphere. It's got atmosphere for days.
And obviously, as many people probably even the darkest episode of the whole show.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dread and a lot of like well, we'll get to when we get to the climax. We don't want to talk about it right now, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's
a lot.
things
Yeah,
get dire.
yeah. A lot of people were surprised by how climactic it was.
Oh yeah. More on that later. So we have this POV shot, and we do kind of almost a send up to Mask of the Phantasm. I know it's more of a common thing in animation, especially around the time this was made. But you have kind of like you have the CG, like the CG made to look like 2D environment of Isabella going to Phineas and Ferb's
and
backyard, but you see like that kind of that neighborhood kind of rendered like that.
and obviously, due to it being over like 20 years later, the CG obviously looks better than what was happening in Mask of the Phantasm.
Well, I mean, let's not go that far. I mean, Phantasm did fit into the Art Deco design, so it
Well,
kind of.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying there obviously have been advancements in CG since then.
You're right about that. Yes, there definitely have been. Yeah. So, Isabella is trying to get her she's trying to get this accomplishment badge, which is for emotional bravery.
And in order to achieve the patch, she has to basically go up to Phineas and admit her feelings for him.
Something that took Helga Pataki and Hey Arnold all the way till the TV movie, like over 17 years later, however many years later.
Like, well, in this particular show, it took them until they were teenagers.
Yeah. So it's so basically this is quite the monumental task for Isabella. She can walk up to the kid she
I mean,
likes, and she's yep.
I mean, have you ever tried asking somebody out? It's actually quite terrifying.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying. It's like it's very justified for being our Halloween special. Yes,
It's a different kind of scary.
yes, emotional terror. Ooh, so
But Phineas, being his oblivious self, kind of interrupts her.
not as oblivious as Stacy, but we'll get there.
Well, trust me, Phineas. One of the running things with Phineas, he can be quite oblivious.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I mean, Stacy's thing is just basically she can be oblivious in a lot of cases, but that's mostly just relegated to this episode.
Do you think he gets that from his mother?
I mean, it's entirely possible.
Anyway, so,
but being his oblivious self and seeing Ferb with their power conduit, they create something that we probably all would enjoy, a rubberizer, in order to
yes.
basically rubberize themselves to bounce around everywhere.
And to quote the Animaniacs, bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Yes.
The good Animaniacs.
Yes, true. Yes.
Versus the the okay Animaniacs.
Yeah, sure. So and also I love.
I thought it was Boingy Boingy Boingy.
Wait, is it Boingy?
I think I don't.
I think they've. I think you're right, Jay. I think it is traditionally Boingy, but I think sometimes they've used. You might just be. Maybe I botched it. Maybe it's just Boingy.
I mean, I don't know. I joined in, so.
I thought it was both. I think it might be both, but it's probably just Boingy. I think you're probably right.
On Animaniac semantics aside.
Yes. Point being, also we have like the shaken bacon gag.
That's a great gag. It's like bacon does not shake, Sir Francis Bacon. I stand corrected.
Okay, see, I gotta tell you, I always, why I appreciate a Francis Bacon joke?
Why is that?
Batman '89.
Of course.
But you remember that bacon joke, don't you?
No.
That's the thing. As a kid, I had no idea what the joke was. It always fascinated me until I looked into art history years later. Where was that? So Francis Bacon is an artist, and Joker's like one of my favorite scenes in Batman '89. Joker's destroying the museum. Like it's a classic Joker thing, especially from the '70s, and he basically he wants all the paintings destroyed and defaced and everything except this one. He stops Bob from attacking with a knife. He says, "Leave this one. I kind of like it." It's just like this Francis Bacon painting with these giant beef things to the side. Anyway, it's about anyway. Point being, Joker in real life would like Francis Bacon art because the guy has sensibilities close to his stuff.
But do you get the whole shaking part of it?
I gotta be honest. I don't know all about Francis Bacon. I appreciate the fact. Oh my God, Francis Bacon.
Apparently, Francis Bacon, in reality, what I understand, he passed away from pneumonia, testing how meat would freeze.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And so,
not for him, but that's an awesome fun fact.
And so that's shaken bacon.
Awesome, that is a good joke. All right.
So yeah, this show has a lot of clever, even educational humor built into it that you kind of have to understand. Sometimes you even have to understand the reference to actually get the joke.
As we've just demonstrated here, points to the writing. Okay, so.
So yeah.
Oh, by the way, I kind of had a realization about Phineas and Ferb, the very few episodes that I have seen. So bear with me.
Yeah.
I think what we're saying with Phineas, especially in this example here at the rubberization rate, I think we're saying ultimately Phineas is a younger, nicer version of Doofenshmirtz.
Kind of. I mean, yeah, he's like, whereas Phineas and Ferb are out to, make the best day ever and make every summer day fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, Doofenshmirtz is out to make everybody miserable for completely petty reasons.
Yeah, I was saying the fact that he's building rays and everything, and also the fact that
Innators, they're called innators.
Innators, sorry, they're building innators and everything. Well, the fact that the boys are building rubberization rays and he's building innators, but the fact is there's kind of there's a very slim difference between those two, and the fact that Phineas might be on his way to building an innator in the future, for all we know.
Like, well, no, actually, no. Phineas never becomes like an evil genius.
Well, I'm not saying he's going to be evil, but I'm saying he can build like things for like kind of a mad pharmacist, if you will.
Actually, in the future, Phineas accepts an award in Norway.
Huh.
Oh, that's revealed in it's either Norway or Sweden. I have to watch the book.
It's probably Sweden, but I don't know.
It's like, well, either way, he does accept a prestigious award when he's adult, apparently, in the future, one of the episodes.
Well, still probably for inventing, right?
Well, most likely, but probably
well, there you go.
But probably not for an evil scientist.
Well, no, not for an evil scientist, but I'm saying he's going to become an inventor. Maybe not a mad inventor, but a tempered inventor.
And even then, heck, Ferb visits Camp David.
Well, it's funny. Have we ever, Jacob, tell me this, did they ever call out the fact that Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated? Because you have to sing it, folks. You can't just say it.
You have to sing it.
Did you ever notice that building looks like Ferb's head? Did they ever call that out in the show?
Yeah, that's referenced that's referenced a couple of times, especially it's one of the jokes in Across the Second Dimension. It's like, hey Ferb, we're looking into that building that looks vaguely like your head.
Cool. That's what I thought. I just want to make sure I wasn't misremembering it. At some point they've had to have mentioned that building looks exactly like that kid's head.
And well, they do.
Good. Okay.
It's in Across the Second Dimension specifically.
Anyway, so as the kids are doing the rubberization thing, kind of distracted from Isabella's goal, Perry the Platypus, he enters the secret lair through the air conditioning vent.
And not to interrupt, but can you just say we definitely want to try I would definitely want to try the rubberization ray.
Well, yeah, I think we all would, Jacob. Yeah.
Like, basically, a lot of their stuff is like something that people want to try in real life.
Yeah.
It's like, but basically, as you were saying, Perry the Platypus then goes down to his cave to be informed through the central cooling unit.
So as he's like freezing his little platypus tail off, he sees a Major Monogram and Carl like they're doing this hot tub thing. I love that Carl. It seems like Carl has to make the bubbles in the hot tub himself.
Yep, that's exactly it. Monogram's enjoying the hot tub and Carl's blowing the bubbles
until he passes out. Okay, fine. You can have 5 minutes.
When you get 5 minutes. He's voiced by Swampy Marsh, by the way. Just
so that's Swampy. Okay.
Like, yep, he voices. Where Dan voices, Don Poppenmeyer voices Doofenshmirtz, you get Swampy Marsh to voice Major Monogram.
You want to hear something silly? I never put this together until I went through this episode with a fine-tooth comb. I just realized it. You don't even need to really overthink. It's just kind of it's like kind of water is wet sort of thing. The place is called Danville. It's like, oh, it's kind of cute. Dan Poppenmeyer named it Danville. Isn't that kind of cute?
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of. I thought that was cute.
And apparently, and the name of the county is apparently Jefferson County.
Ah, nice.
So yep,
branding.
Yep, Jeff Swampy Marsh, Jefferson County, Dan Poppenmeyer, Danville.
Okay, so point being, we establish our plot here. Mayor Doofenshmirtz, who is, I believe, I had no idea he had a brother. So so Doofenshmirtz has a brother who is Roger Doofenshmirtz, who is mayor,
and voiced by John O'Hurley, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yep, John O'Hurley voices Roger Doofenshmirtz.
I love John O'Hurley. Awesome.
I figured I knew you would. I'm surprised you didn't recognize him.
Well, he didn't really have a lot to say. I mean, briefly.
Well, that is a fair point. I mean, maybe if you heard more of him, you could have recognized his voice.
I'm sure if I had like another episode, I would have got it. But yeah.
But yep, John O'Hurley. He actually made quite a few appearances in this show.
Cool. So, anyway, so of course he's dedicating this water tower, which is a setup for later, the new water tower.
And as I mentioned during Candace Against the Universe, basically, this show is basically the master of the Chekhov's gun.
Oh yeah, it's the Chekhov's armory.
Basically, yeah. It's like if it's like something being set up or something referenced, you're gonna guarantee it's either gonna get like a passing reference or become very important later on in the episode.
All right, so then we have Stacy, played by the wonderful Kelly Hu. She's
Oh yeah.
she's basically out of this episode, off to the side, setting up her high def home entertainment system.
Watching her own brand of Japanese horror movie,
Uh huh.
The Grievance.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, Dragon. I don't know if I told you this. I signed up for Shudder recently.
I know. I remember. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I recently signed up for that, and I'm going to start watching The Ring soon.
Oh, cool. Yeah. After you finish Cursed Films, I assume.
Yep, I already finished the first season of that.
Nice. Cool.
It's actually a lot sadder than I was expecting it to be.
No, it's definitely sad. Yeah.
But moving on.
Yeah. So this leads to one of my favorite pairings. I gotta be honest. You have Candace and Vanessa. Sorry, I kind of have to work in at least one Vanessa, kind of like when you have a Vanessa in there. So
yeah, there's a Vanessa played by Olivia Olson.
Yep.
Like Olivia Olson, who might also be known for she was in Love Actually and also in Adventure Time. Like some common connections there. Like her father is the writer Martin Olson, who wrote for this show and several other shows on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. Sorry, it's a fun background for that. I know.
No, it is. That's cool. It's good to know. So, Candace and Vanessa here, basically Candace is kind of like inviting herself. She gets invited to Vanessa's movie night that she's having with her gal pals at Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated.
It's like watching art house foreign horror films.
Yeah, so not only just like the name brand stuff. We're talking like French movies with Spanish subtitles.
Yes. So we see Perry. Now, Perry arrives to investigate, and Doofenshmirtz traps him in a disco ball.
I love that. I love it's like a random disco ball, just for.
And a fun fact, the musical cue that plays during while Perry's in there is actually reused from a song from season 1.
Oh, really?
It's from the song "Disco Miniature Golfing Queen."
Huh. Cool.
Basically they build. Basically, that's an episode centered around Stacy. And Phineas and Ferb build a giant miniature golf course.
I vaguely remember the miniature golf course. I don't remember the rest of the episode, but I remember them building a miniature golf course once.
Yep, that's the episode.
All right, so of course, I love Doofenshmirtz's the henchman Norm, the humanoid robot,
voiced by John Wiener.
Yeah, good old John Viner.
Wiener. I thought it was Wiener.
No, trust me, it's Viner. I know this one for a fact.
Okay, it's one of Dan's colleagues when he used to work on Family Guy.
Oh yeah, that's why I know that. Yeah.
Yep, Dan who directed probably some of the best if not the best episodes of Family Guy.
John Viner was very much like he would voice a lot of the odds and ends kind of characters on there, and like briefly he voiced New Brian before he was brutally murdered, and it was justified though, so it was all cool.
Yep, and he recurs as Norm quite a bit. Like he's supposed to be like a one-off character, but they just loved him so much they kept bringing Norm back.
Yeah, no, it was a good call. I mean, Norm's a lot of fun, man. I love the Dukelberry pie. We bring Doofenshmirtz a Dukelberry pie, and he doesn't bring the pot holder, so he's like burning his hands. Like, Norm!
it's like well, my hands are bacon apparently.
Oh, look, I'm shaking bacon. And we have one of the best lines of the episode, Jacob. Tell them what the best line of the episode was.
That's a callback to something I didn't even hear. In your face, logic.
So awesome.
Which is kind of funny because they do that kind of thing all the time in this show, which is like, they like one random character says something and then a completely different, unrelated character says basically a reference to it later on.
So yeah, I've said this many a time.
But this is basically the first time they're calling it out. Like, it's a callback to something I didn't even hear.
Which is priceless. Now, I've mentioned this before. I love Doofenshmirtz. He's my favorite of the show. He's just so priceless. He sounds funny. I love the mundanity with this guy. I love he's actually kind of a nice guy who's just involved in evil. He's like
he basically is just like this miserable guy that just like basically just has like overly tragic backstory.
It's like if Larry David were committed to evil, he would be Doofenshmirtz.
That's like probably a good apt comparison.
Yeah, like if Larry David was motivated enough, like he in one season of Curb Enthusiasm, he had a whole spite coffee shop. Basically, if you applied that to just the mad science, then it would be you'd have Doofenshmirtz.
I don't think there's an episode of Doofenshmirtz revolving coffee, but there were several food related ones.
I tell you, James, like a whole season, Larry David's like he's got into it with this coffee shop owner. Says, you know what? I'm gonna make my own coffee shop. He buys a space right next door, opens all, practically gives the coffee away for free, just to screw with them. It's hilarious.
Oh god.
Anyway, so
But basically, Doofenshmirtz is the backstory. Like every single episode, he has this tragic backstory. Obviously, this episode doesn't have a tragic backstory. He's just trying to make Roger look ugly.
but using the repulsinator.
Fascinator. But yeah, basically, do you know how messed up Doofenshmirtz's childhood was?
Well, I can imagine it was messed up in so many myriad of ways.
Well, it all started on the day of his birth, when neither of his parents showed up.
Okay, I love that so much. It's like Rodney Dangerfield humor times 10. I love it.
Like, yep, neither of his parents showed up for his birth.
God, I love it. They kind of took Rodney Dangerfield, but for kids with Doofenshmirtz. It sounds like with his backstory, like how I had it rough. Let me tell you how rough I had it. That sort of.
Oh, that's how they got Rover Dangerfield.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Okay, that's a unexpected reference.
Yeah. Let's kill some turkeys. No, let's save that for next month. Anyway, so.
All right, but it's like using the repulsinator, he plans to make his brother Roger so ugly that he'll be favorable by comparison.
Yes, and then eventually they'll spin to him taking over the tri-state area. Now, here's the bit I love. This is why I love Doofenshmirtz. It's gonna happen.
He's optimistic, and of course he's reading from a thesaurus when he says a lot of and then you'll be ugly, repulsive, terrifying. Anyway.
Yeah, I love that too. I love the set. I just love the build of okay. I could figure where this was going, but I loved every second of it. Like, okay, they gotta go this route.
It's like yeah, that's the great thing about this show. It's like sometimes you can see the joke coming and it's still hilarious.
Of course, I love the fact that there's only one wall outlet, which is of course going to lead to all of his. We see why the innators constantly fail because he plugs everything into one outlet. No wonder they blow up or they have a self-destruct button or something.
Well, no, that's exactly what happens. It's that he basically builds everything with a self-destruct button.
I love. We have a gag later on. We'll talk about that. But yes.
I mean, there was one time where his invention worked because he forgot to put in the self-destruct button,
which is great.
Or like someone took it out and then it worked. He put it back in, it stopped working.
Great, good.
Yeah.
All right, okay, so and meanwhile, the kids, their skin becomes rubber. They're bouncing around, having fun. So again, we have the
Isabella goes to the fireside troop, and after telling them that she didn't follow through with her plan, they'd sing a song to cheer her up and convince her to jump right into it.
Here's the thing, song's not bad, but admittedly, I don't think it's as well placed as the other songs. This one just feels like, we had the full time, so let's give him a little song about confidence of Isabella, man, you can do it.
I mean, that's a fair point. It's still very catchy, though.
That's the thing. I don't think there are any bad songs in Phineas and Ferb. I just feel like some of them are like, we just kind of threw one in there. Maybe we didn't need one,
It's like, well, they were kind of basically ordered to put a song in every single episode.
Yeah,
it's one of the things the show is most known for is their myriad of catchy songs.
At least, I gotta admit, what it reminds me of, and you'd probably be inclined to agree with this. It's a little like, kind of like the old the Animaniacs, like Richard. Was it Richard? I keep blanking. I keep confusing. It's either Randy Rogel or it's Richard Stone. I think it's Richard Stone.
Like Richard Stone was the composer.
Okay, so Richard Stone was the composer. I think Randy Rogel wrote the songs for the composer, didn't he?
He wrote a lot of the. I don't think he was the exclusive songwriter for the show. I think he was like one of them, and he also wrote a lot of individual episodes.
Okay, well, let's just say it's Animaniacs-esque with the songs. Let's say that. Let's just say that.
Kind of, yeah. It's like Randy Rogel actually wrote one of the songs in the Star Wars special.
Well, they can't all be winners.
What do you mean?
Oh, wait, you said the Star Wars special.
The Phineas and Ferb Star Wars special.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the holiday special for some reason. It's like
the Phineas and Ferb holiday special, the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars special.
Right. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Specifically the song Scythinator.
Okay, no, okay. That's cool. Sure.
It's like he was working with the crew from Animaniacs at the time on 7D, and they had him work on one of the songs.
Right. Okay. Anyway, so back to Candace and company. They're doing their movie night with foreign films. With you have like kind of these angsty girls, it seems, and Doofenshmirtz brings the pie. You love Donkel Bunkel.
It's like, yep, the Dunkelberry pie is the Dunkelberries are a recurring thing from Doofenshmirtz's home country of Druselstein.
Right. I figured that
Oh,
because we
oh,
mentioned the board games from a place. I imagine that's where he's from. Yeah.
yep. Oh, we have a comment from Atomic Beast.
Oh, hey.
What's worse than zombie doofs would be zombie Teletubbies and be forced to listen to their music for all eternity.
That would be torture. Yes.
Yeah, that would be terrifying. That would be terrifying, Atomic Beast. You're right.
Speaking of the zombies, we're about to get to those. So let's see. So Candace, calls Stacy, and Stacy's still busy with the TV and talking about like, oh, I can watch picture in picture in this, and like there's like all the they have like the remote gag.
Yeah, now she got it down to one clicker. She got it to work, but it's turning out her neighbor across the street's lights.
Yep.
Which which obviously don't know how that's possible, but Stacy doesn't.
I love that Doofenshmirtz is a good father. I love that he's like he wants to be there for his daughter, and he gets kind of shifted out of the room.
He's consistently ranked as like one of the best cartoon dads,
which is nice. Yeah. See, had I known more about Doofenshmirtz, I probably would have put him on like the top animated fathers thing.
Like a lot of people do. Like they say, it's like he may have had a terrible childhood, but he doesn't want to repeat that for his daughters. Like he may embarrass her a lot, but he's never outright a bad father to her.
I was so fascinated finding out that they had a daughter in this show, and I was like, oh my god, this is great. And they have kind of like almost like a bit of like a Talia al Ghul sort of thing with the daughter. It seems they're going for. I don't know.
Although even then, Vanessa does end up with Ferb eventually. So there's that.
Wait, really?
Yep. Ferb.
That's awesome.
It's like, yeah, Ferb. Like earlier in season 1, Ferb develops a crush on Vanessa.
I mean, I there might be some problematic elements of that, but I dig it, man. That's awesome.
They didn't hook up till he was old enough.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I applaud them for going that far.
And she's only like 5 or so years older than him anyway.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's 5 years is in the future. Let's go for it, man. Yeah.
It's like they're like 5 years apart in age, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As long as in the future, everything. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, heck, my parents are 5 years apart. It's not really
mine too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, sure, yeah.
So it's not, but yep, technically she ends up with Ferb.
Yeah, I think that I like knowing that. That's really nice, and that gives like the gag we have later on a little more like she's like Ferb. We know why she's saying Ferb. Okay,
well, technically they weren't. Technically, I think it was more one-sided at this point.
Well, all right. So it's just for pursuing her then.
Yes, I mean it's not like a recurring thing. But it's like basically happens. Like there was basically one episode, but okay, I'm getting off topic here, but
yes,
there's basically one episode where he got away from Phineas just to like help Vanessa.
Nice,
but yeah.
Anyway, okay, so let's see. Point being, we have he goes on the roof to do a Perry Platypus who's escaped, and they have a quiet fight because they don't want to interfere with the girls' movie night, so they're fighting with pillows.
Pillow fight. It's violent and quiet.
Delightful.
Yes, Doofenshmirtz. And then
in the struggle, the ray gets hit, and it turns.
Doofenshmirtz, like Barry knocks Doofenshmirtz over to his couch. You introduce his friends Polly and Esther.
I love that.
And throws the couch cushions, activates the device, which of course being everything plugged into one outlet, overloads it, and he actually meant. For once, Doofenshmirtz actually manages to succeed in his plan.
Yeah, he hits the mayor, and the mayor turns into a... I love how we do like the old school monster movie transformation, where he starts to transform, and he goes off the podium, and we're building up the suspense, and then he turns into a zombie pharmacist.
But yeah, what's funny is that like there have been times in the past where Doofenshmirtz did succeed, or Perry didn't succeed to stop him, but it ended up just biting him in the ass anyway.
Yeah.
But in this case, like he's gonna be so repulsive, and then he pops up and he looks exactly like Heinz do, like Doofenshmirtz himself.
Just a more kind of like hive mind zombie like version of Doofenshmirtz, like wall-eyed, and it's like lots of me.
Yeah, there it is. There, a joke at my expense. Yep. Basically, the universe pulling a joke on him at his expense.
Which is great. I love that he wins, but still, even when he wins, it's like a little like, well, you won. What is that saying about you, buddy?
He made him repulsive.
All right, so then it starts to become like kind of a static electricity plague. So the idea is there's like a whole electromagnetic, well, not an electromagnetic, it's like an electrostatic sort of thing where basically anytime you touch somebody by contact, they will turn into like a zombie plague, but kind of like a
Technically,
sci-fi version of it.
technically, their like official name is mindless repulsive pharmacists.
Really?
Like, oh, that's what the wiki calls them anyway.
Okay. Well, the point is they turn the mindless repulsive pharmacist every time you.
And even though Doofenshmirtz keeps insisting it is true that he's not a pharmacist.
I love that. I should become a pharmacist just to show him,
Yep. It's like I should do it. I should do that. I should become a pharmacist.
The point being, we have a zombie plague at work right now with basically anyone who's one pharmacist touches another one, they become Doofenshmirtz, and it's kind of odd infinitum, and it's like so that's the plague. That's a really clever way to do the zombie plague.
It is indeed. Like I said, they had trouble coming with a way to do that until the idea was pitched that way. And I would say it actually is quite a clever idea to fit all that into this.
I mean, it's a really cute way to do like zombies for kids. Like, well, you touch them, they become zombie pharmacists. So
and it still managed to be quite creepy.
I know, yeah.
I mean, it's still like this. I mean, sure, they're not like flesh-eating, brain-eating zombies, but they're still like. But you can still like basically become part of a hive mind and lose your sense of self during it too. I mean, that in itself is still creepy.
Yeah, so of course Perry gets trapped at the whole. It's going to blow, oh, like bright, like it's going to blow. You think I wouldn't know that sort of thing? And of course, then the device actually does blow, but Perry is trapped under like a little glass box.
And then Doofenshmirtz all blows like that was purely coincidental.
All right, then he found out about the whole like the jokes on me and the zombie plague. So, getting back to our plot, Isabella here, she's interrupted yet again to help Mrs. Fireside, who I assume is the founder of the Fireside Girls.
Yep, she was trying to. Yep, voiced by Cloris Leachman, by the way.
Oh, really? Cloris Leachman.
Yep, she's appeared in like she's not like as recurring as several other guests, but she like appeared in like one or two previous episodes.
I wonder if we got so there. Yeah, it's like for a moment I was going to say, hey, we got her in for Young Frankenstein, but no, it's probably for the pedigree of Cloris Leachman from when they had her before.
But it's still a good. It's still a good connection.
Yeah, no, for sure, yeah.
And again, Isabella was trying to tell Phineas, but then obviously heard her Eliza M. Fireside screams like, "Pharmacist! Pharmacist!"
What does that even mean?
It's like yep. And then they see something utterly, truly terrifying. Irving.
Yeah.
Irving, he's like, hey, guy, Jack McBrayer, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, they have quite a pedigree of voice talent in this show.
No, absolutely, yeah, sure. So let's see. So roundabout way here, the boys they discover the rubber skin insulates them because of the whole electrostatic thing, which means you can't. It's like if you shot you rub your feet on the carpet and you touch a person, you shock them. Essentially, that's how it works. And if you're rubber, it won't work on you.
So thank goodness for Baljeet.
Yes, Baljeet for the win.
Yep. Since they've been turned to rubber, they're perfectly safe.
Yep.
So and even Buford trying to hold Phineas in front of him. Buford's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, Buford is a lot of fun.
Like he basically has some of the best lines in the entire show.
And Buford is kind of a next gen Harold from Hey Arnold, so it kind of tracks. Like what yeah.
Anyway, they race back, and you think they would be able to fix the rubberization ray in time, but actually they get back and it's destroyed.
Yes, but before that, we check in with the news anchor, and I'm sure you love this. So Dan,
Don Adeded.
Don Adeded, and of course there's a pun for like Dawn of the Dead. That's kind of a gag with the name there.
And of course, I don't know if you caught this.
I caught this. Yeah.
He was voiced by none other than the great George Romero.
Now, I don't know what George Romero looks like because I had a different. I wonder, Jake, have you seen what George Romero looks like?
Hey, basically, he looks pretty much just like looks like that.
You want to hear something funny? Because correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't Dawn of the Dead take place in a mall?
Yes.
So here's the thing. I'm probably completely wrong on this, but initially what I thought was look-wise made him look like Stan Lee in Mallrats. Seriously, he looks exactly like Stan Lee in Mallrats, and I thought that was like a deep cut thing of like, hey, Dawn of the Dead, it's in a mall.
Heck, Stan Lee did actually appear in this show in the Marvel episode.
Oh, I believe that for sure. So yeah,
But yeah, I looked it up, and he does look He does look kind of like that. Just
I know, right?
obviously kind of fitting to look like the show's art style.
Yeah.
But yep, they got basically the guy who created this whole genre in the first place.
So obviously the whole episode very much a send up to George Romero, who basically is like the granddaddy of zombie. Zombie is not what it is without George Romero.
Like nope, and funnily enough, this is actually his last credit before his death.
Oh, that's a shame.
But yeah, I mean, he went out in a tribute to his work.
I mean, that's not that is nice though. The fact that he kind of goes out with the ultimate pat on the back of like, "Hey, we did this all for you, George." Aw, thanks, guys.
Yep. So yep, this is technically. I mean, he died like 3 years after this came out. So.
Well, still, it's nice though.
I mean, and because this episode came out in 2014, I believe he died in 2017.
Okay.
So it's not like it was like something that was immediately either before or after his death.
Right. Well,
but it's technically his last credit.
Yeah. Anyway, we have him as like the news anchor. He gets turned. Then we have this hilarious thing where we cut to the other Doofenshmirtz zombies here, where they're like, like it's the weather, and says, "Let's go to traffic. Lots of me. Let's go to traffic." And then we have like the traffic copter. Lots of me. Back to you, Gordon.
Lots of me. Like Gordon Guts of an Emu.
All right, then we have oh god.
Well, I think it's also, if I remember correctly, it's also voiced by Swampy.
I buy that. So then we have the musical number, which is fan. I love this musical number so much. Who's that guy in the white lab coat with the lab coat on?
Yeah, it's basically the recurring Andrews sister stand-ins.
Right, there's the Andrews sisters. I kept blanking on who the sisters were because I knew they're based on like a real life thing. I knew it was like a group of anyway. Because Freak always did a send up to them as well. And anyway, yeah, so that's great.
I mean, I don't think they're supposed to exactly be the Andrews sisters, but they're basically their stand-ins or parodies, kind of. They're all voiced by
for sure. Yeah,
they're all voiced by Olivia Olson too, I believe.
Oh, there you
go. She's a great singer in real life, actually.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, I love this song, everything about it. I love how it's kind of insulting Doofenshmirtz as well, which is really great.
It's like, who's that guy with the jutting jaw? Who's that guy with the receding forehead? Hey! Who's the man living outside of the law?
So obviously we're not going to go through the whole song, but it was really a lot of really good lines in there. Like for example, like I've never been so plural.
It's like if you painted this picture, you'd have to be a mural. Cause I'm telling you now, I've never been so plural.
Yeah.
It's like sorry, I was like adding the whole context. But
yeah,
the show definitely has a way with words.
Okay, let's see. So the kids, meanwhile the kids they run into the house and they need to rebuild the
Phineas and Ferb's house, in which they find that their rubberizer has been completely totaled by the pharmacists.
Little thing with the rubberizer, man. I love that it had like rubber parts on it too, which is nice.
But most likely for aesthetics.
No, for sure for aesthetics. It was just kind of cool looking.
It is cool. I mean, like that's one of the things that the show runs on: rule of funny, rule of cool, rule of awesome, whatever.
So Buford is panicking. Stacy is completely oblivious to the situation. Well,
the thing is, Stacy's at her own house. So we have to clarify: she's at her own house. She's not with Phineas and Ferb.
No, for sure. Yeah, I'll admit, it kind of took me a little bit to really catch on to that because I was wondering, wait a minute, but no, that makes sense. Stacy's at her own house. She's not involved in any of this. So,
Buford's panicking, and then Baljeet, Phineas, and Ferb try to calm him. They're like, "We still have water, we still have power, and our phones still work."
And of course, moments later, all that goes away, and Buford's panicking.
Buford's scream over the side of the city is pretty hilarious.
It is.
Like.
Literally said all these things, we're gonna be fine, and then gone. No.
and of course, it's even affecting Candace as well.
So speaking of which, Candace and company, they're was also affecting Stacy too. But yeah. Anyway, so Candace, they're watching their foreign movies in a whole French movie in Spanish, and
it's a French movie with Spanish subtitles.
Yes, and. Let's see.
Which it probably wouldn't be distracting at all.
Right, and then we have this great line that sums it up. I love this kind of the self-hatred in this too, just like art isn't good unless it's sorry.
Art
Art
isn't
isn't
art
art unless it's
unless it's
different.
difficult.
Difficult unless it's difficult. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, which is not a very good stance to take on art.
No, it isn't.
I mean, art can be difficult, but that doesn't make difficult art exclusively art.
So this is a great this is a great tense sequence amidst the comedy, by the way, where you just have like, hey Vanessa, your dad's at the door, and of course you think, okay, oh no, they're gonna open for the wrong Doofenshmirtz, and it's my dad's clones. Oh no.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like some stuff like that probably has happened around Vanessa before.
I know, but I love that's the tension there. It's a false sense of security. Like, no, Vanessa, it's not clones, it's a plague.
Like, but she begins to notice things are off when the hands basically break through the door. Because even she knows that her dad would not be that aggressive towards her specifically, especially.
Yeah, and then Candace is she sees this sort of thing all the time, so she's not freaking out. So she's actually in control for once.
It's like, yeah, she basically it's like maybe they should watch more domestic horror movies.
I know that's
because their friends are basically like I'm gonna go split up. It's like I'm gonna go take a random noise in the kitchen.
I'm gonna walk backwards into the darkness.
It's like yeah.
That's just great. The whole that really was that was a good line. But also, I love this is a really great meta gag. Candace has the ingenious idea of okay, I know what to do here. This happens all the time. She figures it's a Phineas and Ferb related thing. So to solve this scary situation, I'm gonna call mom, and it's gonna do the whole Michigan J Frog thing where she goes and she checks it out, and then it goes away because that's what happens all the time. She calls mom's. Mom's actually, oh, I love a party prank call. Do you want me to? If I do it, do you win? And of course, doesn't solve.
Nope. That's the funny thing. That's how pretty much how she tried to solve the situation in Across the Second Dimension.
Yeah. She tries to life hack it. It does not work.
I mean, actually, yep, it worked that time. It doesn't.
Well,
work
yeah, that time here, not so much
because the phones went down.
Yeah. So again, everything goes down. They got no power, and Buford's like, "Game over, man, game over." And
which is a shout out to Aliens, by the way.
With the great Bill Paxton. Yep.
R.I.P.
Of course. And Baljeet here brings up the whole Isabella's, she has emergency preparedness, so she'll be able to walk them through the situation. But then they realize something, Jacob.
Isabella was left behind.
Bum bum bum.
And then Phineas starts panicking.
I mean, yeah, imagine. I felt really bad. Oh man, they left Isabella there. Like no man left behind. Man, come on, you left the girl.
And then Phineas is the one that starts panicking, and Buford's like, "Buford, calm down." I'm vindicated.
I love the vindicated gag. It's great.
It's like that's not the first time Buford's imitated Phineas's voice.
Anyway, meanwhile, in kind of in the city, like, hey, print is back, baby, but this is yesterday's paper.
It's like they were talking about like how they can't watch the TVs or read their phones for the news. Like, yeah, newspaper, baby. And then it's like, wait a minute, this is yesterday's news. This is all stuff that happened yesterday.
Yep, I think it was like for a brief glimmer, print was back, and then wait a minute, how are we gonna get the news?
Oh God!
And meanwhile, Perry escapes, and he's armed with plungers, and of course, then we have like the lots of me thinking, oh God, is he seemingly he is touched by one of them. When we reveal, again when we come back. It's a fake out. It was just Doofenshmirtz playing up the thing. Like, no, I'm just saying lots of me. I keep hearing it. It's just so annoying. He was just faking him out. He was like playing with him. Like, I'm just kidding. It's me.
And we actually kind of missed a couple things.
Well, I know. Yeah, we kind of jumped around a little bit. But,
I like when we missed Stacy fixing the generator first off.
Yeah, she had her gloves on. She kind of knocked out a Doofenshmirtz as she was completely unaware because she's wearing headphones.
It's like, yep, the whole grievance interruptus thing.
Yep.
As you guys have noticed, the show also has some sneaky adult humor in it. But
yeah,
but a kind of a clever hint that not everyone is safe. Phineas and Ferb's parents, they get zombified too.
Yep, and I love nothing like a blackout to get you to meet your neighbors. Hi, we're hello, I'm Lawrence, and this is.
Want to know like another horror connection specifically for Lawrence?
What do you got?
He's played by Richard O'Brien, who's famous for writing the Rocky Horror Show.
Huh.
And obviously the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Yep, that's him.
Oh, cool. I did not know that.
Like even one of the Halloween episodes, one of his lines like, "What kind of Halloween special is this? Where are the rock and roll musical numbers?"
Hmm.
Okay, no. All right, I'm sorry. I just like all the fun facts, like I said, that's actually a good sign that nobody is safe from this. Like even their parents get zombified.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyways, back to Doofenshmirtz and Perry Platypus is like, like all the, it's like all these me's are getting on my last nerve.
Like yeah, even Doofenshmirtz is getting tired. It's like I can. He's getting tired of all of the extra hymns and everything. Like I'm not getting tired of myself. I see what Sarah was talking about.
Yep, see what his ex-wife was talking about.
Was played by Allison Janney, by the way.
That's great. So he basically wants to hunker out and kind of hang out with Perry the Platypus amidst this plague
in his startle space.
in his startle space, and I love the whole like. Let's play some what's the
Kleptocracy.
No, I know Kleptocracy. I mean, what's his homeland called again?
Druselstein.
Some Druselstein board games, including Kleptocracy.
Yep. Not to mention that he wanted a panic room, but it was too expensive.
That's great. That's gold.
so he settled for a startle space.
That's a really good joke.
Yeah.
Anyway, then he realizes that Vanessa is in danger.
Yep. Fortunately, being the progenitor of the disease of the static electricity zombies.
Yeah, he's immune.
Yeah, he's immune from it. Doesn't mean Perry is though.
Nope. So he just leaves Perry in the dirt there to look for his daughter in the building.
Which, to be fair, is reasonable.
Yeah, good dad and all that. Like he's going to protect the daughter, get her to the startle space.
And he assumes that Perry would either hunker down or find some way to take care of himself.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Well, he's his enemy. He doesn't really care what happens to him.
Well, he really does. Like he cares about Perry the Platypus basically as much as his own child.
No, you're right. Ultimately, he does. I'm just saying, like in villain terms, like screw him. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do.
It's like, but he probably figures that. Well, it's probably more like a panic situation. He's more concerned about his daughter, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like that's their becoming me. It's every child's worst nightmare. I mean, not becoming me specifically, but becoming their parents.
I love that. Only so many characters you can get away with like deconstructionist jokes, and I think Doofenshmirtz is the exception to that rule. It's like he can break it down.
You mean like explain the joke and still find the humor in it?
Yeah, that's what I meant. But yeah, exactly. The whole just the guy dismantles the joke and just explains it. But yeah.
The show gets away with that quite a bit and still manages to be hilarious.
Yeah, but also just a really great idea. Like, he's afraid of his child turning into him.
In this case, it'd be literally.
All right, let's see. So the boys, they can't because the power's out. They can't fix the rubberization ray. So and there's no sign of Isabella. So what they're going to do is they're going to basically insulate themselves using rubber. Like Ferb, do you know we can insulate ourselves with? Yeah, do we have any rubber lying around? Then there's Ferb like right next to him. Thumbs up.
Convenient rubber.
Always thinking 2 steps ahead.
Yep. And this is when we get Stacy doing the generator and knocking out a pharmacist.
Yes.
Fortunately, she was smart. She was one of the few people smart enough to actually have a generator.
Yeah. And let's see. Then, of course, okay. Then we have our big cameo.
Yep. Nick Frost and Simon Pegg
from Shaun of the Dead as their characters from Shaun of the Dead.
Yep, as Shaun and Ed themselves, not like them playing the characters, but as the characters themselves.
And they're basically going over the semantics of like, where are these lab coats coming from?
Are you implied that my clothes are alive? And it's like that's more terrifying than me getting touched by one of these and going, lots of me.
Well, yeah, I guess I did. I guess I did say something rather silly, and of course, like, lots of me.
Believe it or not, like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost have made several appearances in this show previously.
So is that them doing their own voices?
I believe so, yeah. That's actually Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Simon Pegg, it sounded like him. I wasn't sure about Nick Frost. I kind of hear him do a lot of different voices when he's playing other characters, so I wasn't quite 100%.
Yep, that's them. I mean,
that's
cool. I said, I think Nick Frost appeared one other time in this show, but Simon Pegg has at least had a couple of different appearances in this show. He did C-3PO in the Star Wars special.
I don't want to go into a whole... Wait, hold a second. Tony Daniel didn't come back for C-3PO for the Phineas and Ferb thing?
Nope, not for this one anyway.
Huh. That's weird.
Well,
Anyway.
they didn't get really a lot of people from Star Wars for that.
Well, I know, but like Tony Daniels is like the journeyman. He's always there playing C-3PO.
I mean, they also had him for like an Imperial officer, so they probably just figured to keep him along for that as well. Because he only has because C-3PO only has like 1 or 2 lines in the entire special, and they probably didn't want to bring him in for that.
I guess that makes sense. Anyway,
but yep, Shaun and Ed from Shaun of the Dead, when we were discussing this behind the scenes, Dragon, like I said, I remember not telling you. I told you they were in this, and there's a Shaun of the Dead reference, but I didn't tell you it was actually them themselves.
Yes, which may have helped us time this to some other stuff, but the damage has been done. Let's just call it a teaser for the future, kids, regardless.
Well, like I said, how was I supposed to know?
Well, anyway.
Like I said, it's not like it has to be done anyway.
Well, right. Anyway.
Well, anyway, but still a good cameo nonetheless.
Oh, no, absolutely. Did you ever see...
And actually, no, I haven't seen Shaun of the Dead.
No, not that. I mean, did you ever see the movie Paul?
Actually, I haven't seen that one either.
It's a good one. All right.
I know Seth Rogen. I know they're in it, and I know Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are in it, and Seth Rogen plays Paul.
Yes. It's got a good cast. You got Kristen Wiig, you got Jason Bateman, you got Bill Hader.
Yeah, a lot of good cast members.
Oh yeah. Anywho, so let's see. So Perry's hang gliding away. He's OW. Was it Oak? What have we called his organization? Is it OWCA Oka?
Yeah, OWCA ALCA, or the full name is Organization Without a Cool Acronym.
Okay. Organization Without a Cool Acronym is fallen. And you get a sense of the desperation, though. I mean, like Perry kind of glide through. I gotta admit, it's going to sound really weird. Perry reminded me of Batman in that shot because when he's gliding, it reminds me of this bit from Batman Endgame, the comic, where he's basically floating. There's like a plague of people turning into Jokers throughout Gotham, so it's very identical to that to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And again, showing the desperation and climactic nature of the situation. Even Major Monogram and Carl are taken over by the pharmacists.
Lots of me, and I used to be Carl.
I used to be Carl. and that's the other thing that adds to the danger tenfold. It can affect animals too.
Yeah, so we see a bunch of animals that are basically mutated, which is really, that's the most horrific, scary thing of the episode. Is seeing these animals mutated in the Doofenshmirtz. And also, now they're all wearing hats. Now, Jacob, I want to ask you something. In Phineas and Ferb, are all the animals that can do stuff like Perry the Platypus, do all of them wear hats?
Basically, in Alka, all the animal agents wear those brown fedoras.
That's what I thought. Now, is the logic that these are their agents, or is it the fact? So it has to be just their agents that have been turned, right?
I mean, yes, technically, because some of them are recurring characters and animals from previous episodes.
Okay, so are
like you saw Chihuahua in there? That was most likely Isabella's dog Pinky, and Pinky's actually agent for Alka as well.
Gotcha. Okay, I want to make sure because that was the one thing I would have been lost on. Because initially I thought it was like a worldview logic thing of like, okay, wait a minute, so they're all wearing hats because that's just animals that when they kind of do the Perry the Platypus thing, they're wearing hats. But no, it makes sense. They're agents. That's their uniform. They wear the secret squirrel hat.
Yeah, Perry is not the only agent of Alka.
Gotcha. All right.
He's the best agent, but not the only one.
So this is quite dire. The kids are facing trained agents in hats that are zombies, so they cannot be touched by these things, but they are insulated though, but still not good.
And they think that the hats are part of the animal's transformation.
Yes. So basically,
as you notice, there's still funny moments, but there's fewer and far between in this episode as it goes on.
Yeah, I love that Perry's secretly saving the kids.
Yeah, because he can't reveal himself as the secret agent to them.
Of course. Let's see. So it's then, of course. I'm sorry. Then we have the bit with we have the bit with Doofenshmirtz here. The whole I'm understanding what Charlene was talking about less, and then we have the less of me guy. He's tossed from the building. Less of me, and they still toss him.
You're turning on your credit. You're cliche. I hope you know that.
All right, so then this is where we had like the girls like the whole Scooby Doo like let's split up and all their things that get them caught, get them nabbed, get them turned. Let's
Yeah.
see.
And of course, they actually managed to be in the bathroom where one of them was hiding.
Yes. Meanwhile, Fireside Girls, I love their plan. They have like it's almost like the Bill Murray gag in Zombieland where they're dressed like Doofenshmirtz so they can avoid detection.
I mean, it's a smart plan.
It is, and it
like
works.
that's something. That's actually kind of something that sets us apart from a lot of horror movies. Like, barely any of the characters in here are making dumb decisions.
Yeah.
which, and the fact that they're still being outwitted makes it even more terrifying. I mean, as terrifying as the show can get, but obviously, but.
So our heroes in their rubber suits, they end up at the Fireside Girls little kind of cabin base, and they find that there's still no sign of Isabel. And then this is an homage to Evil Dead 2, where we have like the cabin floors being knocked on. Of course, we reveal, it's her, but there's no time for apologies, Phineas. We got a job to do.
And he was trying to say, thank goodness you're okay. It's like that time, Phineas. Ooh.
So then Isabella has like a little triangulation song, which again is like, I mean, it's cute, but it's really intense right now. Do we have time for a and even Baljeet calls him out on this. Like, that was an uplifting song, like a no-timed uplifting song.
It's like, yeah, well, it did reveal, it's like, and then they figure out the building. It's like, but the building looks really familiar for some reason. Opens the blind and sees the building right outside. Oh, that must be why.
Of course, that building is Doofenshmirtz Evil
Incorporated.
So they race to the building. Let's see. Perry lends. Let's see. We have Perry's lending an assist with the grappling hook. Is distracting the hordes of zombie pharmacists. Candace and Vanessa, they're trapped in the stairwell.
And they decide to go down to try and escape.
Yep. Okay, the Buford, little rubber ducky on a suit sets off a car alarm. So now there's a real rush to get to the building, and the Fireside Girls do not make it.
Yeah, Holly, Millie, Katie, and Addison all get zombified.
I think two of those girls like. I know Buford likes one of those girls, and I think one of the girls likes Baljeet.
Well, Buford. Well, I know what you're talking about. When Ginger likes Baljeet. Ginger's the like the 10. Well, she's the 10 or
Yeah.
Like she's actually Stacy. It was a real in this season that she's Stacy's sister.
Oh.
I mean, it was like something people had suspected for a long time, and they confirmed it on Twitter for a while, and then first episode of season 4, they officially confirmed it here.
Cool.
So, and then in this season, she's actually voiced by the daughter of Ming-Na, Michaela Z.
Wait, you say like Ming-Na Wen?
Yeah, she that's her daughter.
Oh, cool.
She wasn't the initial voice of Ginger, but she took over for this season.
All right.
Anywho. And if you're talking, and I know you're talking about Buford, like when Gretchen went up and slapped him, like, get your skull yourself, soldier. He's like, I'm so in love with her right now.
Yeah, that whole bit. Yeah,
it's like that's not like a thing. That's just like something Buford says occasionally. It's not,
gotcha.
I mean, that's not like even a thing at all. Buford doesn't really show any romantic interest at all.
All right, let's see. So,
That's basically just one of Buford's running gags occasionally.
Okay, so they're trying to block the doorway, and then one of the Doofenshmirtz gets through and he tears Phineas' suit, and then Isabella tosses him the accomplishment badge.
and they're trying to find a way to block the door, but Buford doesn't ruin the feng shui of the building.
It's a good line. That was a good.
It's like I can't decide what to move without ruining the feng shui.
I call BS on that patch bit, by the way. No patch goes on that easily. Where he's like tosses it, he puts it on like a sticker. That's you gotta sew that onto the thing.
Like, yeah, but it's a desperate situation, and who knows? Maybe there's.
I know it's cartoon logic. I'm just saying, like that. No way, that doesn't work like that.
It's like, well, you also can't transform into a pharmacist by static electricity either.
Your logic beats me. Anyway.
Like, I mean, and also platypuses can't be secret agents, and also aren't blue in reality.
Wait, do you consider him blue? I thought it was more like a teal.
Oh yeah, he's teal, but yeah,
like a teal green, sort of like more like a teal. But anyway, but you know what platypuses can do, or platypus is a point. I know what platypus what a platypi can do.
It's like platyply, platypus, or something along those lines. Platypus is either one of those work.
They can wear hats.
They can wear hats.
Don't
Yes.
try and tell me anything else, 'cause I know.
Yes,
they can wear hats.
They can wear hats. Yes,
Okay,
but they can't be secret agents. They don't do much.
true.
Which is of course a reference to this show itself. He's just a
Yes,
platypus.
yes.
They don't do much.
Anyway, so let's see. So point being, one of them tears through the suit. Baljeet gets turned. And that sets off Buford because it's the bully. It's the bully prey like in a relationship there. Like, no, Baljeet, that's half my identity. He goes full John McClane. He kind of strips down, like Die Hard 3 for some reason. He goes like, yippee-ki-yay!
Yippee-ki-yay, pharmacist freaks!
Yeah.
He could have done that without taking off his clothes.
Yep, and we don't.
And of course, that makes him probably turned even faster.
Yeah, no, it does. So,
of the main group, that only leaves Phineas, Ferb, and Isabella.
Yes. Meanwhile, Doofenshmirtz, he saves Perry the Platypus. Need a ride? Oh, I should have said need a lift.
Can we talk about how cool it was how Perry that led them all to like that dump site and closed the gate on them?
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, Perry definitely lives up to his status as the best Alka agent.
Yeah, he does.
And of course, but unfortunately, and he's like, better buckle up. This is my first time ever piloting a helicopter.
Yep.
But so yeah.
Anyway, so our kids are in the building. They reunite, with Candace and Vanessa, who are in the stairway.
And of course, the shout out to Rocky Horror Picture Show comes up when they're all saying each other's names. And immediately before that, there's a reference to Ghostbusters. Like, I am terrified beyond all reason of rational thought.
Well, I saw a different Ghostbusters reference. It's more of a subtle one, but when they're going up the stairs, it's a little Ghostbusters-esque.
Huh. Kind of, yeah.
I'm saying, like, I know they didn't like invent the stair bit, but I'm saying Ghostbusters is like a very fun bit. We're going in the building. Oh, so many stairs.
Yep.
Anyway,
so even Candace does say something. So like, this is too much cardio for one lifetime.
Yep. All right, let's see. So then, of course, in the helicopter, things can't get any worse, and we have a bear Doofenshmirtz attacks.
Yeah, a bear agent that's been turned into the zombie, which we actually did see close to the bottom of the helicopter. So it's not like they just brought it out of nowhere.
Which then leads to our crossover. We got the helicopter crashing into the other side of our story here, crashing into the building.
That's one thing this show excels in, is like blending the two storylines together.
Yeah. So then this is a really great fourth wall call here. So once Doofenshmirtz is in the fray, now we kind of learn that, okay, with the whole electrostatic kind of thing, it turns them. So water will turn everyone back to normal. Like that's a bit of a leap. I'm a scientist. I'll go with him on that.
It's like one thing that was like when he crashes and then into it, he's like I hope whoever poor Sam lives here has good insurance.
Of course, we're like, crud.
It's like crud.
No, it's I just love the fact that we're calling out like, yeah, we need an easy fix here, so we're going with like the what was it, the original War of the Worlds that had the water solution, or what are we thinking of? What had the
well, that was Signs actually.
Oh, so Signs was the water?
Yeah. War of the Worlds, remember that everything was done until the aliens got infected by bacteria.
Right, it was the germ. That's the thing, is I was confused. Like one had water, one had the germ. So War of the Worlds is the germs and Signs is the water.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so again, a little kind of like it's a little Signs-esque. Like, how do we undo this? Water. Just add water. Really?
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense through a leap if you think about it.
I mean, yes and no. It's really they're going to still be well. If they every time they touch someone, they shock them. I guess there is a bit of a logic there. So I don't know. It's like obviously it's a show. We have like a secret agent platypus. So let's just go with it. But yeah.
Yeah. So of course.
We bring back the water tower. Water towers are our solution, but I love, yeah.
It's like Phineas is like where are we? We need to get some water, preferably elevated, not to cover everyone at once. Points to the water, like, yeah, I know.
So what's just great about this? So while we're fighting off, like using plungers and rubber gloves and everything, which by the way, Doofenshmirtz like, what? Everyone else gets to dress up. He doesn't even need to, as we put him in the rubber, the rubber gloves and everything.
He wants to have fun too.
Exactly. So I love the fact that while all this is going on, Phineas built a model to explain the plan.
It's like, was the model necessary? Absolutely.
It was totally worth it. Yes. I get look, Jacob. Here's like it's a dire situation. Do we need the model? Heck no. Does it look awesome? Does it illustrate the plan very well?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And of course, being Phineas and Ferb, they can get away with it. They can
Yes.
get away with doing it very quickly as
I'm
well.
a sucker for a good model.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yes. So anyway, let's see. So they're being essentially. This is a really cool thing of the climax of the episode. We really begin it here, where we keep plucking them off one by one. Like first Candace, like Candace, no, and then not Perry the platypus, no, and that's really horrific when we turn Perry the platypus.
And he's like, lots of me.
Like hearing D. Bradley Baker like talk as Perry the platypus is horrifying.
It's like usually all you hear from him doing Perry's like,
Yeah,
and then you hear him going, lots of me.
it's terrifying.
Like, we don't see much of him beyond that, obviously.
And then we have like poor Vanessa.
Not Vanessa.
Now, I love like the emotional pathos on Doofenshmirtz series. Lost his daughter, and then they obviously milk it for a gag when he does like the whole like, Die Hard thing. Like you strips down, it's like you, yeah.
Like go on.
I was saying the whole you pharmacist freaks, and he goes charging at him. In my head, I'm thinking, you hurt Vanessa, and he's just charging him.
It's like, yeah, what's the close?
Yeah.
Like,
But
so
seriously, yeah, like you feel bad for him, don't you?
Like, yeah, I mean, he lost his arguably Perry the platypus is his best friend.
Yeah, he
And
lost his friend, then he lost his daughter.
It's like, so yeah, it's like, and obviously he's immune, so he didn't even need to take off his clothes in the first place.
Yeah, didn't give a crap about his brother, so he's all good there.
it's like, yep. So he's fine.
Yep.
And
all right, let's see.
Technically, his brother was patient 0.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
let's see. A point being, things are getting quite dire. It's up to the kids to get up to the water tower and make the big dispersal thing.
And after the zombies were knocked out by the helicopter, they're quickly waking up again, yep. and even piling over the edge of the building under the rope over to the water tower.
Very World War Z-esque.
Oh, very much so. Like you can tell they took their inspiration from a lot of places in this.
And speaking of brothers, then of course Ferb, oh god, when Ferb goes and you see the fans like, no, it's like there's the other name of the show, no.
It's like yeah, like that tells you how dire these things were. Even Ferb, it wasn't safe. It's like so no, you and Isabella will make it.
So then we're going to Hey Arnold movie territory here. Isabella confesses her feelings for Phineas, and
he doesn't understand it at first, but then she clarifies it, and he seems to actually like it, appreciate it.
He then takes a bullet for her, essentially, before he can really kind of fully confirm those feelings. And he jumps, he takes, like, Isabel, oh god, she gets turned. I love it. So Isabel's the last one. She goes up there and she hits the button while transforming.
It's like, you gotta be strong. You gotta do this. You gotta stop talking to yourself.
But yeah, seriously, I love it. Like she gets turned. It's like literally the last seconds.
Like even Phineas gets turned. She gets turned as she's pressing the button. It's like basically everyone in the city got turned.
I know, which is fascinating. Like, man, it was very defeatist, man. It was like literally everyone Doofenshmirtz won.
It's like you probably know that everything's gonna be okay going into the show, but even then. Sure. But even then, you'd think at least a few people would survive being turned, other than Stacy.
Yeah, technically, Stacy's the only one who didn't get turned. If you think, well, her and Doofenshmirtz technically the only survivors.
Well, Doofenshmirtz was the progenitor.
Well, that's the thing. So he doesn't really count. But Stacy's the only survivor.
Basically, yeah. Everybody else got turned into the zombies, the Doofen zombies. Even Isabella she was fully turned by the time the sprayer went up too.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She was turned and she hit the button before she went down.
Yeah, it's like that tells you like. They really went all out with the finale on that one.
Yeah, no, I was very impressed by it, truly.
It's like you think that you're trying to keep them keep them at least one of them alive. It's like, whew, we did it, but nope. But fortunately, everything works out. The water gets siphoned into the tower.
It's sprinkled out to everybody in town. Everyone's cured.
Like, yep, everything is hunky dory. Phineas and Isabella don't remember the conversation they just had to keep the status quo going.
Uh-huh.
Like Candace agrees to hang out with Vanessa again. Barring any zombie apocalypse, which Doofus Merch said, I don't make any promises.
And Vanessa gives gives Doofus Merch like, yeah, let's play some Kleptocracy. Ah, that's my girl.
It's like all the other everyone else is okay. Everyone else is back to normal. At least it's in the walled city of Danville.
So that's I'm going to assume have we ever revealed before that Danville's a walled city? It's just like the gag of like it's a walled city, so everyone else is done for.
That's basically just the gag.
That's what I thought. It makes the most sense. That's a good gag. Just like in the walled off city of Danville. What?
It's like, well, so much for the rest of civilization.
And of course, we end things off just like, leave a little up in the air, like kind of a fourth wall gag. Stacy was watching the episode and kind of mocking it.
Like, according to Dan Povenmire, like the episode actually did happen. The ending was just from her movie.
Okay.
Like, but obviously, and technically, the events of the episode actually happened. Everybody got turned into pharmacists. But apparently, obviously, being this show, they probably found some way to reverse that.
Yeah.
But yep. So everyone else is safe. Everybody got turned back into normal, and Stacy got to finish watching her movie. It's like, horror movies, they're so unbelievable.
It all worked out rather nicely.
It's like, and basically, and we forgot to mention, like even throughout the episode, she's like, oh come on, she's right behind you. How can you be so oblivious? So she was like, how could you be so oblivious? Like. Says the lady who's literally missing a zombie apocalypse happening right behind her.
Yep.
Oh god. But basically, that ends the episode, except for the end credits, which is the song "Lots of Me."
Yeah.
Which is a cool connect the dots thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, that's all she wrote.
So, Dragon. I'm glad you liked the episode.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
Now you can see why I advocated so hard for it.
No, I get it. In hindsight, I don't know. I don't know. Given the volume of Phineas and Ferb Halloween episodes, we possibly could have built to this one, but it was good.
Like I said, the other episodes really don't take place on Halloween. I mean, this episode doesn't even take place on Halloween.
That's the thing. So.
And admittedly, this is the strongest. This is the best of the Halloween episodes.
Yeah.
And I knew you guys probably wouldn't have wanted even to do the other ones if I didn't mention, like, oh, hey, this is an hour-long special. It's a tribute to George Romero. I was like, you guys probably wouldn't even done the other ones if I had done the other ones, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Considering your guys' kind of mixed reactions to the previous one.
Right.
So I was like, might as well do this one, show you guys what it's all about.
Yeah.
Like I said, it highlights a lot of the stuff that I love about this show, like the humor, the songs, the animation, everything, and the creativity of this show. It's like it's all on full display here, and even throws in horror trappings as well.
Yeah.
Like now you can see. Hopefully, this is like a good showcase as to why I love this show so much.
Yep.
All right. Any final thoughts, Dragon?
Just again, I think Bob Meyer's always on to something with Phineas and Ferb, and I think it's just really remarkable how tight the writing is on this, and how much of a gag fest it is in all the right ways. So it is. It was indeed quite remarkable, and obviously it's got great character work and all that going forward, and of course the creepy atmosphere. More so the pathos in the desperation, the dire kind of aspect of the finale is really the most remarkable thing about it. So yeah.
When the show wants to get dire, and even in the series finale, it can get pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's like Gravity Falls level of horror or anything, of course, but I will say when the show wants to get dramatic, it can definitely get dramatic without ever feeling, sometimes when comedies like do drama, it feels out of place, but it really doesn't here. Then that's one of the great things about this show.
Yep.
All right. And like I said, I'm glad I could share this with everybody, and hopefully everybody enjoyed our ride along with it.
Yep. Want to thank Atomic Beast and Sonia. Well, I guess I'm trying to get the full name here. Sonia Priscilla Pantoja. Thank
you all for joining us tonight. And
thanks for joining us, and hopefully join us for some of the other hijinks we have in store.
And hopefully I'll be on for the Courage the Cowardly Dog episode.
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So we'll see how that all goes, and What are you guys doing next time?
Well, I don't want to say in case anything changes, Jacob, but we got something cool coming.
Okay, that's a fair point. Be on the lookout for more from these guys, and then. All right, folks. That's the end of tonight's spooky selection. As our spirits grow weary, but they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in more haunted holiday hijinks. I used to be Carl.